What if you could see the evil in people, the monsters hiding in plain sight? And what if you had the power to make them disappear? Would that make you a hero, or would you become the very monsters you hunt? That's the razor's edge our protagonist Lee Tang is forced to walk. And it's the question at the heart of the brilliant, unsettling, and darkly funny K-drama, A Killer Paradox. When A Killer Paradox dropped on Netflix in early 2024, it immediately stood out from the sea of crime thrillers. Adapted from a hit webtoon, the series stars Choi Woo-sik as Lee Tang, an aimless college student whose life is completely upended by one single act of violence. He's haunted by the stubborn, instinct-driven detective Jang Nan-gum, played with a captivating gum-chewing swagger by Son Suk-gu. But this isn't just another vigilante story. It's a deep dive into the murky waters of morality, justice, and fate. Today we're going to break down the compelling paradoxical journey of Lee Tang, a man who accidentally becomes a judge, jury, and executioner for society's hidden evils. We will explore the moral tightropes, the thrilling cat-and-mouse chase, and the philosophical questions that makes this series so unforgettable. When we first meet Lee Tang, he's the definition of ordinary. He's a slacker, a part-time convenience store worker recently discharged from the army, with vague dreams of visiting Canada but zero actual ambition to make it happen. He is listless, apathetic, and feels like the world's punching bag. His life is, in his own words, pathetic. Until one fateful night. After a tense run-in with a drunk customer, Tang finds himself in a dark alley. Pushed to his limit, all the repressed anger from a lifetime of being pushed around just erupts. For the first time, he fights back, striking the man with a hammer he had borrowed from the store. The result is accidental, but it's also final. Crushed by guilt and terror, Tang is sure his life is over. He's haunted by visions of his victim and is seconds away from ending it all. But then something impossible happens. All the evidence of his crime just disappears. And then the news breaks. The man he killed was a wanted serial killer who had been on the run for years.
This is Lee Tang's awakening, and it's not some heroic moment. It's born of pure panic and confusion. He soon realizes this wasn't just a fluke. He seems to have a supernatural sixth sense, an intuitive itch that lets him identify evil people who have committed horrible acts and gotten away with them. His second accidental kill takes out two gangster students who had committed a brutal rape that led their victim to suicide. Suddenly, this aimless guy with no purpose is faced with a terrifying new one. What starts as an accident slowly, horrifyingly starts to feel like a choice. Choi Woo-sik is brilliant here, shifting from an apathetic slacker to a man tormented by his gruesome new gift. Every vigilante needs a hunter, and in this story, that's Detective Jang Nan-gum. Nan-gum is the perfect foil for Tang. He's a guy who runs on pure instinct, a tenacious, gum-chewing detective who just knows when someone's lying. From their very first meeting, his gut screams that the nervous kid from the convenience store is involved, even when there's no evidence to back it up. Nan-gum represents the law, rigid and absolute. He's not a perfect hero. He's flawed and impulsive, and his methods often get him into trouble, but his relentless pursuit of Tang becomes the engine of the series. It's a gripping cat-and-mouse game where two opposing ideas of justice collide. Nan-gum doesn't care if the victims were monsters. Murder is murder, and his job is to catch the killer. This creates this incredible tension because we, the audience, know how evil Tang's victims are, and we're left questioning who we should even be rooting for. The chase gets even more complicated with the arrival of Robin, a tech-savvy true crime nerd played by Kim Yo-han. Robin doesn't see Tang as a criminal. He sees him as a real-life Batman, and he wants to be his Robin. He thinks Tang's ability is a gift, and he becomes his guide, using his hacking skills to research targets and help plan the executions. Robin is the one who reframes Tang's horrific ability as a moral duty, pushing him from an accidental killer to a more systematic, though still reluctant, vigilante. He's the strategist to Tang's raw power, and their partnership takes the story into much darker territory. This is where the show gets really interesting. moving beyond a simple thriller and into a complex philosophical debate. The core question is right there in the title. Does killing proven evildoers count as a crime? Is Lee Tang a hero sent from above, or just a sinner who hasn't been caught? The show gives us no easy answers. It forces us to sit in that uncomfortable gray area by making the victims undeniably evil. Tang isn't just killing rude people, he's taking out serial rapists and corrupt officials who got away with murder. The series becomes a sharp critique of a justice system where the powerful are protected and the law seems to be for sale. Lee Tang's journey is a deep dive into that moral gray zone. He's not some gleeful executioner, he's racked with guilt and tormented by hallucinations of the people he's killed. In one powerful scene, he even tries to get Detective Nangam to kill him, but the gun just clicks on an empty chamber. Was it divine intervention or just dumb luck? The show has this incredible, almost darkly funny way of visualizing his mental state. It uses dreamlike, sometimes bizarre sequences to show us just how fractured and absurd his reality has become. We're forced to wonder if his actions can ever really be justified, even if they do rid the world of monsters. It's a compelling puzzle with no simple solution. Just when you think you've got the moral math figured out, the series throws in Song Chan, played with terrifying energy by Lee Hee-jun. Song Chan is a former detective and a vigilante himself. In fact, he was Robin's original Batman. But where Lee Tang is conflicted and guilty, Song Chan loves the act of murder. He also targets human garbage, but his motive isn't justice, it's the thrill of the kill. Song Chan is a dark mirror for Lee Tang, showing him the path he could easily go down, where the monster completely consumes the man. His presence forces a critical question. Is it the act of killing that's wrong, or the intention behind it? Song Chan's cruelty stands in stark contrast to Lee Tang's tormented conscience, making everything even more complicated. Lee Hee-jun's performance here is so transformative, he's almost unrecognizable. At the same time, we learn more about Robin, the nerdy sidekick. His obsession with justice comes from a place of deep personal trauma. He's not just a helper, he's a manipulative mastermind who is grooming Lee Tang to be the weapon of justice he never had. He's the architect of this whole Batman and Robin fantasy, driven by a pain that makes him both sympathetic and deeply unsettling. These two characters just blow up any easy hero/villain labels. The final act of the series brings everyone, Tang, Nangam, Robin, and Song Chan, on a collision course. The climax goes down at a derelict factory, a classic showdown spot where all the ugly truths come out. In a final, manipulative, and maybe even selfless act, Robin sacrifices himself. He engineers his own death to make it look like he and Song Chan were the masterminds all along, even faking his dental records to make sure a burnt body is identified as him, clearing Lee Tang's name. His final act is to protect his hero. The real final confrontation is between Detective Nangam and Song Chan. And here, the show delivers its most devastating twist. Song Chan reveals that Nangam's own father, the man the detective has idolized his whole life, was a corrupt cop. And the person who put his father in a coma wasn't a random criminal. It was Song Chan, his partner, getting revenge. In a moment of pure rage, Nangam, the one true defender of the law, crosses the line and executes Song Chan. This act completely shatters the show's moral foundation. The one character who stood for the system becomes a killer, while the accidental vigilante Lee Tang can only watch in horror. In the aftermath, Nangam tells Lee Tang to disappear, effectively letting him go. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want more deep dives into great storytelling, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We'd love to have you join the conversation. In the end, Lee Tang walks free. After fleeing the country, he eventually returns to Korea, his name cleared. But he's not the same person. He's haunted, forever changed by the path he walked. In the final scene, as Tang walks down a street, he bumps into someone, and that familiar, unsettling itch returns. the paradox isn't over, it's a part of him now. A killer paradox is so much more than a slick thriller. It's a profound, disturbing look at justice, morality, and what it means to be human. It asks if a broken system can ever be fixed from the outside, and what the cost of trying might be. The series leaves you with questions that will stick with you long after the credits roll, forcing you to think about the fine line between justice and vengeance, a hero and a killer. So I'll leave you with the same question we started with. If you had Lee Tang's ability, what would you do? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.